In this video, I sit down with music theory expert Tommaso Zillio from musictheoryforguitar.com to discuss and demonstrate cool ways to play chords on guitar. Hi, this is Simon Candy from Acoustic Guitar Lessons Online.net, and in this lesson, Tommaso and I break down the block chord. The block chord is a very useful chord type that can be played all over the fretboard in various ways as a major seventh, dominant seventh, and minor seventh chord. In addition, you learn how to create a full and complete sound by applying fingerpicking and open strings to this chord type. Watch until the end of the video for a special free ebook audio I've created for you that goes into the block chord and its various applications in much more detail. So let's get into it.
Great, but right now I want to go on a slightly different thing because you have another thing. You put up a video on your channel and about block chords, and they were doing interesting thing with those. And by the way, yes, you can mention your YouTube channel. So actually, tell people that you have a YouTube channel because, guys, Simon practically just started this YouTube channel, and there is such a great material in there. Okay, in a short amount of time, you put up a lot of videos, and there is great, absolutely great material. If you are an acoustic player, you totally want to go and check that. How is your YouTube channel called right now?
Acoustic Guitar Lessons is what it's called. Yep. And weekly videos going up. There's a few on this technique and a whole bunch of other stuff. And you're talking about the block chords. So the block chords, I call them block chords. It's a name that you can use for them. They're basically, the ones I'll show here on the 4-3-2-1 string set. Okay, so sort of a block chord. It's all together compacted on 4 strings. And for me, it was the sort of stepping out of open chords and bar chords back when I started I was studying jazz late in the late 90s, and that was a real eye-opener. And it was like, oh, okay, what are these chords? And I can play chords up and down the fretboard and actually understand what's going on. Basically, they're chords that fall on the top 4 strings. They're typically 7th chords, or they can be other extensions. But let's say we go with the dominant 7th chord. So they're little chords, inversions, that allow you to play, for example, an E7 chord in 4 different positions. Right, I've got root position down here. This is like your little D7 open chord moved up 2 frets to be E7, and your first finger comes in to play the root up the E on string 4 there. And so that's a root position E7 chord, but I can take that up and alter the shape to get the first inversion with the G sharp in the bass of an E7 chord there. So now I've got 2 positions I can play that chord. Similar shape. There's a bit you can sort of carry through from the first root position. Then I can take it up further and play a second inversion with the B in the bass, the 5th in the bass. And that's sort of coming off of the whole thing when you're learning chord shapes, for me, is you want to connect it into what you already know. If it's something that's just out there on its own, you're not going to be able to grab it in the moment. So you're looking to see how you can anchor these things down on the fretboard. Root notes help, but other shapes. And this one here relates to the root 5 E bar chord. You're just taking the little triad and putting the 7th, the D, on top. And there's your second inversion. And then you've got your third inversion with the 7th in the bass. And this one is the top 4 strings of the root 6 E7 bar chord. So you can relate them. This one here, if you look carefully at this one, it's really the C7 shape moved up to be E7, and then you're taking the root out and you're putting the 5th on top. So these shapes, whilst they can look totally new and foreign, a lot of the time you can link them back to shapes and it helps anchor them down on the fretboard to remember and visualize, and finding the root notes. But the good thing about the block chords, or a good way to work with them, is once, let's say you've got the 7ths down here, you've got your dominant 7ths, E7, you only need to change one single note to make that a minor 7. So if you flat the G sharp, the 3rd each time, you've got now the minor 7ths. And you can go through each of those shapes, find the G sharp, make it a G, and you'll have your E minor 7ths. If you take that dominant 7th and you raise the 7th, D to D sharp, here's your major 7th shapes that you could play off of. So it's not learning completely new shapes, and that's coming back to the point of being able to connect new shapes to previous shapes and see the common ground between them. So they're always great to learn like that, because you can very easily, you know, work out the chords from each other, and it allows you to play, you know, chords up and down the guitar. Now, in the key of E, this is great. I mean, there's lots of ways you can use these. They're great for comping in a jazz context. If we are in this fingerpicking context here, I like to use these sometimes with a bit of a Travis picking pattern. Not it could be Travis picking too, but just more the pattern than the style as a whole. And because it's the key of E, I can just use that low E. And, you know, add little, you know, additional things to the chords and so forth, and you can be picking and maintaining that lower end the whole time with the open E string, and alternating with whatever the bass note is in the chord on the 4th string, and get a really large range of where you can play your chords. Now, if we moved all those shapes to be A7 chords, so same shapes, different positions, then you got the open A string, of course, and you can do the same on an A. And as you can probably see where that could go, you could play through a blues in E or A, really, because they've both got the E and the A chords, and you've got your D open string. So there's a few, again, keys that will work well. And you could play through a whole 12 bar, maybe into an A. E. You know, so you can, and there's all sorts of combinations you could do, because you can imagine 4 choices for each chord. You can do all sorts of combinations. They're almost endless, really. And anytime the B7 chord comes up, you can, I think I play the bar chord there, or I could be down here. Yeah. So you can deal with the B7 and play some version of the B7 chord. But that's one way that you could use the block chords. And again, that's kind of tying in the open string connection a little bit too.
It's a great introduction to this thing, actually, especially the trick of going from the dominant chord to the minor 7 and the major 7th. I'm using a similar system to these in one of my courses, shameless plug. Okay, complete chord mastery. Okay, and we do all the 7th chord this way too, and we use it for chord melodies in that course. But it's great for comping too. And that's the thing. Those things have multiple uses. Okay, and your approach here is absolutely great, especially the idea of taking just the dominant chord and playing a blues, so that you just learn the shapes and you take your time. And for anybody following us, this is much easier if you take everything and write it on paper. Okay, because if you start doing everything straight on the fretboard, could be a bit hard. So you take what Simon was doing, you write it on paper, it makes sense. If what Simon was saying doesn't make sense to you yet, it's because you haven't learned yet a few of the things that in theory that you need to know before you do that. So you may not know what notes are in the E7th chord, or you may not know where the notes are in your fretboard. That's great. In this case, either Simon or I can help you write us, okay? Because that's what we do for a living, okay, essentially. So you guys write us, and we're going to help you on all that. But again, for some people, what Simon was doing, it looks incredibly complex. It's really not, okay? It's really not. You just have those chords. And you use them, okay? In a blues chord progression. And again, another great idea is doing it in either E or A. You have at least a few of the bass open on the open strings, so it works great. Essentially, it just works great. And again, you can use this for soloing. Okay, so if you're soloing, I don't know, in E. Okay, nothing really complex, but you can move those chords around and not just follow the straight rhythm of the comping, and then it becomes something like this, something in between comping and soloing. It's kind of a nice style, essentially. And there is so much freedom here, because you can really adapt these to different styles, different ideas, different ways of playing music, but the material is always the same. Okay, so it's just great. One thing I was noticing, I don't know, Simon, if you know that, but those, you probably do, but all those chords here that we play on the top 4 strings are in jargon what we call drop 2 chords. The beautiful thing is that if you write something here, and then you take those exact notes, put them on the score, you have the exact ranges and the exact spacing to work with a saxophone section. So you're going to have the usual 2 alto, 1 tenor, 1 bari. Okay, and you just give them those 4 notes. Okay, and they will be able to play exactly there, and then it will work great to create this kind of big band arrangement. So, and Simon is using the exact same material to play, on the other hand, by himself on an acoustic guitar. So there's all this kind of connection between different kinds of music, and the theory and what we do, the ideas are always the same, which is just great, just great. Thank you, Simon. This thing you just did right now is great. And I think people will have a lot of fun doing that. And again, if you guys have any problem, you just call us. Either one of us can help you.
If you like this video, then you'll love this free ebook I've created for you in my Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar series, simply titled Block Chords. In this ebook, you learn the 3 main block chord types for your guitar playing and how to create great music with them. I also show you how to best visualize these shapes on your guitar so you never forget them. It's as easy as changing one single note in each block chord shape. You also learn a system for easily relating the block chord shapes to each other all over the fretboard, so you can play any chord you like in any position with ease. So click the link below in the description of this video and download your free copy of the ebook audio Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar Block Chords. Let me know in the comments section what acoustic guitar topics you'd like to see covered in future videos. I read every comment and always love to hear your suggestions. If you like this video, then hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the all important notification bell button so YouTube tells you when I release a new video. This is Simon Candy from Acoustic Guitar Lessons Online.net. Thanks for watching this video. As always, I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.